What do you want people's one takeaway to be?
That organic social media creative is disproportionately underestimated by almost everybody on earth. Social media ads and social media is what humans actually see, not best print campaign. We're watching plenty of TV. Everybody here is watching plenty of shows. We're not watching the commercials in between the shows. There's a speed of virality right now that's throwing people off. Everybody can have 15 minutes of fame, but one, some people don't have the depth of actual skill to get people excited. There's a lot of reasons that there's a thing called one-hit wonders. Attention evolves. It's really the most obvious thing for me in the world, meaning there'll always be new mediums and there'll always be people that fill that medium.
Attention is the #1 asset.
So, your book, why now?
A combination of a couple things. One, both from creators and from brands, where I live in both of those worlds, I could feel the tension that they're all feeling like, hey, social's changing, and am I in a good spot or not? Meaning, this whole movement that I talk about in the book about the TikTokification of social media, you could feel like from the incumbents of creator land, they can feel it's harder to get views. And the big brands are feeling that brand is starting to actually be built in social in a way that makes them uncomfortable. It's less television, it's more social, and I just felt like I was ready to write it. I felt like I was in the right mindset and could articulate what was actually happening, and so I always write when I feel like I can provide something, and so it felt like the confusion of the current moment we're in with social was an opportunity to help people.
Okay. And what do you think? What do you want people's one takeaway to be? If they get one thing away from the book, what would that be?
That organic social media creative is disproportionately underestimated by almost everybody on earth. And that there's a substantial strategy and skill set to be good at it, not Happy Tuesday or a photo of the three of us yay. Like it's not spray and pray. It's not throw against the wall and see what sticks. It's not matching luggage to your campaign. It is the punchline.
Do you feel there are any industries, based on what you just said, any industries that are more kind of, I guess, maybe a bit more, no disrespect to any other industries, but a bit more archaic in their thinking in that respect, and some industries that are a bit more forward thinking?
Yes, I think this industry is the most archaic. I think the Fortune 500 holding company marketing ecosystem does not view social media as important.
Okay, so that actually leads on nicely to corporate Cannes and Cannes Lions. They do their annual events, etc., their annual award ceremonies. What do you think about that? What do you think about kind of, I guess, some of the awards missions? Do you feel that they have that kind of 360 feel, or what's your kind of thoughts on how impactful do you feel it is to the consumer?
To the consumer? This is a non-event to the consumer.
It often feels like it's almost they're almost tapping themselves in the back. It feels very.
It's exactly what this is. This is one.
100%.
Which is, by the way, amazingly fine. There's not an industry that doesn't do it. The auto industry, I don't have a problem with the industry celebrating itself. I mean, this is joyous. There's so much nice stuff going on this week. Relationships, business development. It's lovely. But if we're talking about, does the consumer care? This is not the Oscars. It's not the Grammys. This is nothing close to that. And so, I think that's what leads to, if this was actually consumer centric, I do believe that social media would be a much bigger part of the event. Social media ads and social media is what humans actually see, not best print campaign.
I was at the award ceremony last year, and I was when they were going through the different nominations, I'm like, oh, there's some really great entries, but I've never seen
any of it.
Any of it. I'm like, how have I not seen this great TV ad?
Because
it's not where I'm at.
Because you're a human being in society. It's just it's the gig is up in a way that's hard for the industry to swallow, and I'm empathetic to that. It's but yeah, I think this is an industry event, which is fine. But
what do you think the reasons are? Do you feel they're scared to embrace the change? Do you feel it's an individual thing for the people in those positions?
no, I think people are protecting the money. I think it's the money. I think that the advertising industry is desperately trying to keep the Fortune 500 companies' marketing budgets within themselves in things that are profitable. Television's profitable. Programmatic digital executions are profitable. So I see you guys. So I think it's a business thing. Awards justify creative AORs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it does. Interesting. Looking into the TV industry, and then you mentioned how, when it comes to TV advertisement, traditionally companies go and spend hundreds of thousands of pounds, traditionally still have hundreds of thousands of pounds on TV ads and not leverage any budget to any other kind of areas.
Yep.
And you mentioned kind of in the future that's definitely going to change. But how on the flip side, from a TV company's perspective, how do you feel that they can adapt to this?
I think TV needs to go back to how TV started. I think TV, if you look at it in the 50s and 60s, was very heavily based on product integration. I think that's what we're going to see. We're watching plenty of TV.
Yeah.
Everybody here is watching plenty of shows. We're not watching the commercials in between the shows.
Yeah, true.
People come to me all the time like, Gary, TV consumption shows up. I'm like, no shit. I'm like, that has nothing to do with TV commercials.
Yeah.
Not to mention streaming services don't have commercials most of the time. At least not Netflix, obviously Hulu and others do. So, I'm like, I think that the TV industry, but kudos to the TV industry, I think they have been adapting. In the US, one of the things that I really like is during American football, instead of going to commercials now, they have a split screen where they're showing you the sideline and then there's a commercial, which actually has made me personally and many others, because I read a lot on this, see a little bit more of the ads.
Yeah, because it's interesting because it's right there and you want to see the game and it's in your view.
Correct. I'm trying to watch what the Jets quarterback is saying to the coach, but it's a split screen, so I have to see the State Farm ad or the Bud Light ad, and so I think the TV industry is trying, and I think they'll continue to try because they're going to be forced to.
Moving on to the music side of things, where do you see? Because I guess in particular in the UK, up and coming artists, grassroots artists, there's almost a big disconnect between them and their audience sometimes. So what I mean by that is artists that particularly blew up during the lockdown period. They generated loads of views. They got a singles deal or album deal from a big label, but they didn't have the audience, like the cult following. They didn't actually have the fan base, so they got great kind of numbers in relation to the sound and not as an individual. So I guess what, from your opinion, could an artist do to help have that cult fan base and really kind of grow that on the social media platforms? Because the numbers are great, million views on this TikTok, great. Label comes in, they get signed, but they don't have that cult following, and because of lots of live.
I think it's less. Yeah, I think there's a lot to that. You're taking it one path. There's two paths in that question, in my opinion. One, I wrote a book many years ago called The Thank You Economy that really talks about having a deep fan base instead of a wide one. To your point, a cult following. To your point, artists now can put out one video, one hook, and get millions of views and seemingly have something going, but they haven't played 50 shows with 30 people in it, then 50 people in it, then they haven't built up. And then two, they're not using social to actually engage with people. They're just yelling at people, not engaging with people. So, I think that there's a speed of virality right now that's throwing people off. Everybody can have 15 minutes of fame. But one, some people don't have the depth of actual skill to get people excited. Right? Some artists are just not. There's a lot of reasons that there's a thing called one-hit wonders. Even before the internet, there was people that had the ability to make one song, but not an album, not a fan base. I think we're just seeing that play out on. That's right, right? Because it's nothing. To me, it's nothing new. It's just it's in our faces now. Oh my God, 30 million. Well, there's so many one-hit wonders that had one song that kept them on the radio for a year. They toured like the whole thing, and then it was over. One song, and so I think that's what we're seeing: one-hit wonder dynamics playing out in social. To your point, they don't have to have it that way. If they actually, if somebody who had a one-hit wonder on TikTok replied to every single person that left a comment, they would convert 10% of them into hardcore fans, and then actually be able to build something.
I guess with some artists, it's not really in them to. A lot of artists that I know, they're really quite introverted and they really don't want to put themselves out there, despite the song and not build on that.
A lot of artists aren't artists. They're not business people. They're not marketers.
Yeah, that's why it's important to have a team around you. Quick thoughts. What are your thoughts on I guess the live streaming aspect? And I guess I'm saying that, especially I just mentioned like the Drake and Kendrick issue that happened, and how it's fascinating. You have Drake who's really immersed. We would feel in the culture, immersed in kind of what's going on next to all the live streamers, and someone like Kendrick who's the complete opposite of music. And Drake would communicate with live streamers when he's about to release a song and really utilize that platform. Before it used to be the radio. Now it's the live streamers are the DJs.
Yeah, Kai Cenat and all that.
That's it. And Kendrick would release his songs during live streams to deliberately get their reaction. So I just generally think, what are your thoughts on like the live stream kind of environment?
It's the entire concept of day trading attention. Attention evolves, and to me, Kai and the gamers and everybody else, Aiden Ross, all that. It's really the most obvious thing for me in the world. Meaning there'll always be new mediums, and there'll always be people that fill that medium. So Dick Clark, worked for television and radio. He, disc jockeys worked for radio. MTV came out, and Carson Daly worked for MTV. So what do I think? I think they have a lot of attention of youth culture, and if I'm trying to sell to youth culture, it's a really good platform, period. And so Kevin Hart's tapping in now, as you see, and Drewski and all this, it all makes sense. It's how you build fame, wherever the attention is. It doesn't, whether it's television or film or radio or newspaper or social media or Twitch, it's one and the same. It's my point of the whole thing here. Do you know how many people here this entire week have paid attention to, can name 3 streamers?
That's interesting.
You want to make a good piece of content? Stand on a main strip right now. Stop people with badges from creative agencies and ask them to name 3 streamers. There's no understanding of the currency of where the attention is. That is the biggest issue.
That'd be a great piece of content. Excellent.